This is a true story. In 1906, in a small village near Mount Fuji, Japan, Soichiro Honda was born. Along with being a blacksmith, his father was also a part-time cycle repairman. Soichiro Honda's 5 siblings had died of an illness. That's why his parents had high hopes for this child. But Honda was not interested in studying. That's why Soichiro was more interested in repairing cycles with his father. When he was 16 years old, he saw an ad for a job in a newspaper. Andy came to Tokyo to join Art Shokai Company. He left his home and school with a hope that he would earn money in this company. Honda's dream broke when the owner of the company started getting cleaning work from Honda. What would the poor Honda do? One hand, he had left his home and parents. And on the other hand, he was being given useless work. He was ashamed to go back to his village. Because what would he answer to his parents? This was the reason why for the next few months, he was forced to do other jobs there. After a few months, the owner of Art Shokai started taking work from Honda for the workshop. Honda was very interested in this work from the beginning. That's why he could understand things easily. In a few months, he had learned a lot about all kinds of cars and their parts. During this time, Art Shokai made 2 sports cars. The first one was Art Daimler, and the second one was Curtis. These 2 cars were made by using used engines, which had won the first position in the Japanese Motor Car Championship in 1924. Honda was still a good mechanic, but in this race, he sat with the driver as an engineer. This was the event after which Soichiro Honda made motorsports its religion. For the next few years, he worked in Art Shokai and kept on increasing his experience. In 1928, at the age of 20, his owner decided to open another branch. This branch was supposed to be in the middle of the city. The owner gave responsibility to Honda for running this new branch. Honda started this new branch of Art Shokai with 1 worker and in just 2 years reached up to 30 workers. He had now become a brilliant mechanic and a racing driver. He took advantage of his skills and designed a sports car for his boss. This car could run at a speed of 120 km/h, who had broken all the old records. This record remained the highest record of Japan for the next 20 years. Honda's importance had increased a lot in the heart of Art Shokai's owner. Honda wanted to open his own workshop, but maybe fate did not agree to this. During the year 1936 racing, Honda had a painful accident. In the accident, his life was saved, but his left arm was fractured, and there were many wounds on his face. He was seeing his life ending here. Neither could he work as a mechanic, nor could he take part in racing. After many months, when he recovered again, he requested the owner of Art Shokai. He can't do this repairing work now. In fact, he presented the idea that why not now start a separate company to make spare parts. The stakeholders of Art Shokai immediately reject Honda's idea. They were already profiting, so no one wanted to take a new risk. So Honda decided to open a parts manufacturing company on its own. And in 1936, at the age of 30, he opened a heavy industry with his friend Tokai Seiki and made his friend Soichiro Kato his president. He had already opened the company, but Honda had no investment to run it. He worked for Art Shokai Company throughout the day, while at night he himself tried to make an engine piston for his new company. After working hard for 3 years in 1939, he finally succeeded in making 1 piston. Now he had quit his job at Art Shokai and started making full-time pistons. But he did not know that there were still many faults in his pistons. He offered his pistons to Toyota Company, but Toyota rejected 47 designs out of 50. The next few years, he started to understand the market, and after that, Honda made a piston once again. This time, this piston had passed the quality control of all the companies. He started getting orders one after the other, and once again he saw his dreams coming true. To fulfill the orders, his company hired 2,000 workers. This happiness of Honda was just a few months' guessed. In 1941, Japan jumped into World War II, and during the airstrike, a missile hit directly on Honda's factory. The situation in the whole country was getting worse and worse. Japan was losing the war. Then in 1945, 2 nuclear attacks happened which broke the back of Japan. After this, Japan surrendered in front of the Americans. The war was now over, but Honda had lost everything. He sold his remaining 6 assets to Toyota in 450,000 yen, and once again became jobless. This was not only the case with Honda, but the whole of Japan was going through a very bad crisis. The economy was melting. Food, water, and inflation had broken everyone's back. It was difficult to get public transport because there was no petrol in Japan. During this time, Honda got a small engine of Japanese Imperial Army, which they used to run wireless radio. He got an idea out of his habit. He thought, why not put this engine in a cycle and solve the problem of transport? This will make transport easier and cheaper, because people were already very worried about inflation at that time. So when they put this engine on a cycle, everyone liked this idea very much. This model was launched in the name of the Super Cup, which was in line with the market's requirements. This model was so successful that in 1950, it left behind the sales of American brand Harley-Davidson. As the Honda was very fond of racing, that's why it decided to make a sports bike. Honda likes to go to different bike races and noted down the special features of the winning bike. In those days, sports competition races used to be a marketing and fame tool for manufacturing companies. In a few years, Honda's first sports bike was launched, which won the first position in the international racing competition in 1960. This race made Honda famous all over the world. In 1960, Honda had become the world's largest motorbike manufacturing company. And by 1968, they had sold 10 million units. Soichiro Honda got success after 62 years of struggle and hard work.